I'm writing a book, as you know, if you watch this YouTube channel. And in my proposal, I have been asked to talk about books that are in the same marketplace, a comparative assessment. And I have a very critical view of several books. One of them is The Four Agreements. I'm not going to be putting any critique of the Four Agreements in my book, but I did feel the desire to comment on the book a little bit. I think Don Miguel Ruiz is well-intentioned, and in his book he very plainly states that these assumptions should not be used to beat yourself over the head. And yet I feel like if you ask the mind to do what the mind isn't built to do, it's inevitably going to disappoint you, and you are going to be self-critical. And so I thought I'd make this YouTube video just touching on this idea of the gap that we create, and that we have this self-judgment if we have a bad, quote-unquote, bad thought, or we make a mistake. So if we tell ourselves that we won't judge other people, or say lies, or make assumptions, or act selfishly, and then we end up doing those things, if we do judge someone, if we do tell a lie, if we do make an assumption, or if we do act selfishly, what does that leave us? We are left feeling evil or weak or out of control, and then we just beat ourselves up for these so-called sins. But there's another way to be, and what I'm talking about in the book and what I'm trying to live in my life is to really just smile at the mind's antics, or the mind's compulsions to judge or lie or assume or be selfish. And rather than encouraging these behaviors, this actually allows them to diminish. We think that if we go soft on those things, we lose our rigidity, that they're somehow going to explode and we're going to become judging everybody. But it actually works the opposite way, because we're creating a huge gap between what is so and what we think must be so. And then we judge that gap, and this only makes the gap wider. But by self-acceptance, the gap closes, and then there's no longer a need for judging or lying or assuming or acting selfishly. The same gap is created when we tell ourselves I must come out on top, but we don't. Or we tell everyone that they must like us, but they don't. The idea, I believe, is, and if you want to call it an agreement, is to love ourselves, and then all these other behaviors, which are driven from a lack of total love for ourselves, goes away. And I felt really powerfully last night, and somewhat this morning, this sort of reflex. Every thought that comes into this space of love just totally is bathed in joy and cannot persist.